Hey everyone, in this episode we're going to be doing a real rewind. We're going to be taking a look at Gone Girl, and we'll be exploring why Donnie and I find it to be one of our favorite films of all time. This is episode 74 of the Reel-ists podcast. Team Reel-ists, thank you for tuning into this episode. If you're a first-time listener, you've officially been labeled a Team Reel-ists fan. So
okay,
just giving it one try. All we need is one listen, and you're officially a Team Reel-ists.
That's all it takes.
Yeah,
that's all it takes.
Team Reel-ists member. We'll say member rather than fan. But yes, welcome to this episode. We're doing a real rewind on Gone Girl. It's one of our favorite films of all time.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know if this episode might be long because there's so much we'd love to talk about this film. But, you know, it's one that's been out for a while, so I don't even think we should even say there's a spoiler. It's like at this point, there's a book about it too, in case you need to know.
True.
We didn't read the book. It's
been out long enough.
We'll get out the obvious. We did not read the book prior to seeing the movie, nor have we still read the book. Although,
disclaimer.
Didn't you read? I think you were like reading some of it. I know.
I started to read some of it. Hi, I'm Donnie, by the way, and we have our producer Ruben.
Oh, yeah,
I started to read some of it. And that's just how I am. I start something, and sometimes I don't finish.
Oh no! I just remember you.
Thanks for pointing that
Oh
out.
my gosh!
I did start reading it, and I was getting into it. But I'm lazy. I'm really lazy when it comes to reading a book I would like to finish, because I do like to read. After watching a movie and finding out that it was from a book originally, I do like to read the books. I've done that with a couple films so far, and that's on my list.
Okay. And I'm Oscar, in case you didn't know. But yeah, so thank you for tuning into this episode. So I think we're ready to go straight to it, Donnie.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while, but I'm sure you can still come up with your quick thoughts of why you love this movie.
Man, oh man. This movie literally just took me by surprise. I want to say this. First of all, rewinding a couple years back to when I first saw the trailer.
2014, yes.
I assumed, because I was paying attention to the trailer. I forgot what movie I was seeing, but I was like, oh, okay. I thought that it was a direct film version of the Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson case. That's what I thought it was about. That's what it looked like. I don't know if you guys remember that case. Oscar,
no, enlighten us.
Lacey Peterson. She was found murdered, and basically they assumed that the husband did it, or there was evidence pointing towards the husband, Scott Peterson, and he was saying, "I wasn't me. I did not kill my wife. I did not kill my wife."
And he was like, well, they probably won't hear me, but he was out there searching for her.
He was, So Ruben said that Scott Peterson was too out there searching for his missing wife.
Like the Ben Affleck.
I don't remember how that case ended. Do you, Ruben?
Yeah, he went to prison.
So he did serve time.
Yeah,
he was convicted.
Him.
Okay, so I thought it was a direct I thought this is what the movie was about. But then when we watched the movie, I was like, oh, okay, it's not him, or it's not a Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson movie. Obviously, they weren't using those names. So, but anyways, the trailer still intrigued me very, very much. And I was like, I was really interested to see it. I was really intrigued by it. It looked mysterious and, just very, it was going to be something I could really sink my teeth into. And I remember it was you and me, and who else did we see it with? We went to the movies to see this.
2014. It could have been my cousin Danny.
Could have been Danny. There was a third person there for sure. I remember we were watching it, and this is a long movie. This is almost 2 hour and 40 something minute. Yeah, huh? Look it up.
Let me look it up.
I'm pretty sure, or it's for sure over 2.5 hours.
What's 149 minutes?
2 hours and...
So 120...
129, 2 hours.
2 hours and a half. 2.5.
Okay, so hour and a half. 2.5 hours. So that was the quickest 2.5 hours of my life, because I was just so glued into the screen and so captivated by this story and what was going on. So it just zoomed by, and I was like, when it was over, I was like, no, I want more. I need more. And I just remember being so just kind of like my mind was just so boggled by what I just witnessed. I couldn't believe what we saw, and it way exceeded my expectations. I mean, it was everything I wanted. There was mystery, there was suspense. What I think makes this movie so great, and I really want to read the book now. It's getting me excited. Is the first half, you're basically, you think you have it figured out, and then you just get sideswiped like midway.
Yeah.
So the whole mystery of I forgot her name, the character's name. Amy's missing. She's missing for like half, or a good portion of the film. We keep seeing these flashbacks, and it's painting this picture what's Ben Affleck's character's name? Nick. It's painting this picture like Nick did it, and we're seeing all these little moments that are feeding into that thought that, okay, I think Nick did it. All these we're seeing him get frustrated, we're seeing him get angry, we're seeing him lose his temper, we're seeing little secrets, little lies here and there, and it's really feeding into like, okay, I know Nick did it, I know he did, and I'm really, really concerned about where Amy is. I have no idea what happened. I don't know what's truth or what's not, and then it just, bam, you see Amy, and then she starts laying it out like it. Oh my gosh! Let me stop talking. You talk. You talk, because I can go on and on.
Well, let me just enlighten everyone in case this one was one that slipped out of their grasp. Gone Girl came out in 2014. It is the plot with his wife's disappearance having become the focus of an intense media circus. A man sees the spotlight turned on him when it's suspected that he may not be innocent. And as Donnie had pointed out, it does star Ben Affleck as Nick, Rosamund Pike as Amy, with other appearances with Neil Patrick Harris and Tyler Perry as just a few of others. Mm-hmm. Directed by David Fincher. So yes, that's the movie that came out in 2014. To me, this was one that I was very similar to your kind of mindset of like, I was intrigued, but I didn't think it was going to go where I loved it. And yeah, just the reveal of like, I plotted this entire thing out. And it was like, I plotted it out believable status. Like
believable, like to the detail, to every little detail.
Yeah, like it wasn't.
That's what makes this film brilliant.
It wasn't like anything ridiculous. Like, oh, I specifically I know he's gonna come home at 1:00 on this day, and therefore, well, like it was just little things that, like, you would think, oh, this is how you would create the murder. This is what we were following. Like, she did that part very well, but she didn't do anything that was just too far of like, oh, I need to make sure he gets home, or I need to make sure that the cop sees this. It was just like natural things that a cop would be like, okay, let's check this out. Okay, well, that's not leading to anywhere. What about this? And like, she would think that kind of way. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. And yeah, just seeing the relationship unfold from like when they fell in love to when they started not seeing eye to eye anymore, to when, it felt like they were going to just, be apart. But, he didn't want her, she didn't want him to be the one that finds someone easily and moves on. Because that's what triggered it, was that she saw Nick flirting with another girl.
One of his students,
yeah. So that's what led to that whole like reveal. And then yeah, just the whole case about it. I to this day, I still I wish Tyler Perry's lawyer was a real life character or a real life person. Mm-hmm. Cause yeah, I loved how he was just like very sure of like what the steps should be or what to do or how to handle this. I mean, I know there are lawyers that are actually like that, but
yeah. And I love that this film, it really dove into the social aspect of it, the media aspect of it, because that's something that for some reason us like in America, like we're kind of infatuated with those we like to watch those kind of cases unfold, and these
right, we have a lot of shows
a lot of true crime shows, and there was the whole Nancy Drew show that was kind of that Nancy Drew like character in Gone Girl, and she was like tearing Nick apart and saying this, Nick is disgusting, he did this to his wife, and that, like, everything about that aspect of it, about the news cameras, staked outside the house, and Nick having to go on television, and try to tell America he didn't kill his wife. Like, those are things that happen all the time,
and also the little things that the media blows out of proportion, like when he smiled when they were asked to take the photo.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a smile because I'm happy. It was just like, it's a camera in front of me.
And I don't know
it's
what
a
to
natural
do.
instinct. Yeah.
Or how they tried to twist his relationship with his sister and make it seem like it was incestual or
Oh, yeah.
unnatural in some way. And like how the media does do that. They take one little thing and they twist it and warp it, and then it's like it's become its own thing at this point. Like it's out of your control after so much time. So I just think they really captured the chaos and the frenzy that is media. They got it really, really well in the film.
Yes, and it's one that it's just, I really do love the thought that this movie went into. And I mean, to the degree it was the book that, you know, covered a lot of it, and then just the movie that, you know, was the final outcome. And I believe the author, she actually had some say in the movie too. So it wasn't like, you know, I don't think she wrote it entirely. Actually, let me quickly check here. But it was just that fascination of, she was in part of this, so therefore she knew how to make the movie work in terms of like the story of it, like what needs to be included, what would be, you know, something that you can leave out. Like maybe we don't need to know too much details about the parents, things like, you know, the little things that wasn't necessarily going to make or break the movie. And that was just a great help as well. But yeah, just the entire the story itself, and then the ending. Just to go into the ending here, where you he did not win, and you wanted it after like seeing everything. You at this point you're rooting for Nick to come out, you know, and get away from this craziness, and then it finds out like he can't. He has to stick through it.
She got him.
And
she trapped him. I really like, I mean, all the characters too. I don't feel like there were any like filler characters or disposable characters in the movie.
Oh, so she did actually. She actually wrote it all by herself. Gillian Flynn wrote the screenplay.
Oh wow, bravo to her. I was saying I don't feel like there are any filler characters. Like, you know, you have Nick and Amy, the two main characters, and you have his sister, and she plays a very, I feel,
supportive role.
Very, very supportive role, and kind of, you know, that like sound of mind, that, you know, clear-headed, you know, stable one. And then you have Tyler Perry, who's like, you know, he's a good guy, but he does it in a kind of
in a lawyer way,
a lawyer kind of cocky-ish way, but he's still likable. He's not like, it's not like he makes you uncomfortable or like, oh, this scumbag lawyer. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. That's why his retainer fee is so high. And then the detectives, the two people that play the detectives, I love them. Like I feel like this movie was so well casted. Like every character was just, I mean, even down to, you know, when Amy goes and lives on that kind of like trailer parky kind of place and befriends that one kind of trashy woman. Like even every character I feel was well casted.
Yeah.
No, and you know,
I agree. I definitely agree with that. It was really well casted all around. I was going to mention, as you were saying, the characters. Oh, and the small minor characters as well. Also were just they played the movie enough to be not, I don't want to say relevant, but they played a purpose. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of tricky with movies is because, you know, not every character is meant to play a purpose in the story. Sometimes it is just like background information or just, you know, so you can get that realistic vibe to it. Mm-hmm. Like the neighbor, but that she was mainly in this movie because she was part of Amy's grand scheme of like, oh, make your neighbor suspect it was him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So like those things like that, or the news anchor, the one that was like the Nancy Drew imitation, that itself, you know, the little things like that, you know, they were just, without them, the movie still can go on.
Right.
It just, it helps. They helped push that movie and the narrative of what did happen. Yeah, but just the reveals, the clues, the, like all these little things that you're just like, you just didn't think she would do this. And then the trailer also, I believe it's in the movie, but it's like a part where she was explaining how everyone would think the process would go. And I think she, let me know if I'm wrong, but was she at some point gonna kill herself?
Yeah, the plan was to kill herself.
Okay.
But then she had it like on her calendar, but as she saw what it was becoming and as she kept seeing like Nick on television and everything, she kept pushing it back. And then
because the only reason why I bring it up is because in the movie and in the trailer they showed the body like dead,
floating in the
so you
the
think
water,
that she is dead too. So you kind of have that expectation of
so
like
you kind of see like that's what was her ultimate goal,
right? We are going to see her dead. We just have to find out how she died, kind of thing. Yeah. No, it was just that movie really set the bar.
But then so I think what had happened too, also other than seeing how big it was getting and all the attention that was coming on Nick and everything too, is also her plan kind of got derailed because remember that kind of trashy neighbor found out that she was hiding something, so she came with her boyfriend and they robbed Amy, basically took all her money and whatever. So then Amy was kind of, I feel like, in a panicky kind of state, didn't know what her next move was going to be. So then she called Neil Patrick Harris's character. I forgot his name.
Desi,
something like that. Desi. So I feel like at that point she was just kind of improving what to do next.
And even then, I mean, when she like made him be the like killer,
make it seem like he abducted her.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I mean, she's quick on her feet, man. Like she was creative. And you know what? That's another reason why I really want to read the book, because I know from what I've heard that it goes more into her psychics, her psyche, her state of mind in the book, and it shows how I think she's more mentally disturbed in the book than they show in the film. She explains from her point of view and in her words why she's doing what she's doing and why she believes it's justified. But I think in the book, if I'm not mistaken, they said that it shows her quote unquote crazy more. So that's something I want to kind of dive into.
I don't know if I would want to read the book, if I can be honest here,
because it might affect how you see the movie.
Yeah,
I know.
I love how the movie is, and I love to leave it at that. Like, I don't want a sequel. I don't think I need more detailed information because the overall story is there. Mm-hmm. It would be different if it was like we never saw her, and then we finally see her at the end, and then she kind of explains, and we just see her monologue of what happened. Then I'd be like, ooh, now I do want to see, more details of like what she was doing all by herself. But the movie covers that. So I feel like the movie does a really well job of telling this story. It's kind of like, following with the social media, it's kind of us as the audience watching this on TV kind of unfold of like, oh, so the story is that she faked all, or actually, no, she didn't fake it. She actually did get kidnapped. We thought it was the husband because the husband, didn't know the things or didn't answer some questions right and smiled in the camera. But turns out it was her ex-lover that did it, and there's footage of her, screaming and in pain. So it was kind of like, we got that full experience of it.
And I feel like...
And then it concludes with that, like, just complete, like, defeat. Like,
yeah.
Like the villain won in that movie. She's not a villain, but she managed to still succeed over Nick.
Yeah, and I really like it too because I feel like at least this is what I get from it. I feel like with the first, kind of act of the film, we're looking at it kind of through the detective's eyes. We're trying to piece together everything. We're trying to understand what's going on. We're trying to make sense of it, and the detectives are, kind of helping us as the audience kind of make sense of it and bring in all the clues and then information, and we don't know, and we're drawing assumptions, right? And then the second act, obviously we know what's happening because Amy is explaining everything. So now we're like, okay, we're seeing it through Amy's eyes, and she's trying to justify why she's doing it, and that's debatable if what she's doing is justifiable or not. I feel like she's pretty damn good at making it seem like what she's doing is right and like why she's in the right for doing it.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's just her manipulative side, like her that's how
her amazing
Amy kind of side to her. So then we kind of see it through her eyes, and then I feel like in the final act when everything is revealed and we see and Ben Affleck, and Amy and Nick do reconnect, and then now we're kind of looking at it through Nick's eyes, and we're scared of Amy. We don't know what's going to happen, what move she's going to pull next. That. I mean, he didn't even want to sleep in the same, she was like, you can sleep in the, room with me. You're safe. And he's like, no, I'm okay. Like, I totally could feel the tension and the fear, not, maybe not like, oh, she's going to drive a knife in my chest, but like, what chaos is she going to drum up now to ruin my life, Yeah. So it's just like, I love you get all those angles, you get all those points of view.
Yes.
And it just tells a very crazy story, man. Like, it's just a trip. It is a trippy movie.
It's if I can enter just, I don't want to throw this in for the sake of like any kind of literal comparison to any degree, but it's kind of in the way that Acrimony had this crazy story. It just didn't complete it to the point where it was a good outcome. It went one way and kept going and didn't like do a full circle, or just kept going like straight. And that's kind of where it had its problems, part of its problems.
Yeah.
Compared to Gone Girl, where it knew the ending to the degree of like you knew where it was going with the story. So that's how I was able to put everything together and connect the dots and, you know, show how this would be relevant to this point, or this is how she explains that. But yeah, so it's kind of like that. I mean, like, there's a lot of great movies that have these like crazy stories that's just like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. And this is one of them that's definitely just like, I don't know what I would do if I was Nick. I don't know, like, I'd kill her or something like that. Like, I'd actually kill her. That's not my real answer. I'm just saying, like, I would not actually kill someone.
Yeah. Are you
just
sure?
Just clarifying. Let's just like taking it to the extreme of like putting put on that kind of spot. Like your thoughts probably just everywhere of like, what the heck is going on? Like, who did I marry? Did they get married? They didn't get married. Were they married?
Yeah,
they were officially married.
I think.
We
didn't see like a marriage or anything.
Yeah, that's why I was like, did they?
Yeah, because he said he was going to ask her for a divorce.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need to go do another watch.
I know, we need to watch it again. I also really, and just speaking of it just as a movie, you know, I think it was, I thought it was scored perfectly. I thought it, like, all the sounds and the music and the whatever's, you know, you hear in the background, I feel like it matches any tracks that they use musically, like it matches the tone and the energy and the pulse of the scenes we're watching. And one that comes to mind is when Nick is trying to piece together one of the clues, and it's when we find out that she bought all these big expensive gifts and hid them in the shed, and they're intermixing that in with the detectives finding her journal in the basement of that kind of fireplace thing.
Yes,
and they have this kind of
it was like another house that they had.
Kind of this like house music, like electric, kind of not techno-y, but kind of something along those lines, music playing in the background, and it just matches it. It gets your, I don't know, it just
you know that it's like
I can't talk tonight. I'm sorry. This movie just leaves me like speechless. But like even in those moments, like it just matches the tone so well, and just how it's executed. You know, the music, the score is really, really good. And there are some really beautiful scenes that are shot in the film. I love how it'll go. How the transitions were nice too. How it goes from like, you know, it goes from like a romantic scene to then it cuts to like a missing person's poster, like a missing "Where's Amy" billboard. You know how it just like cuts, how it transitions absolutely from one scene to the next. And one scene that I really liked that was really nice visually to look at was when they were actually searching for Amy. They had the search party, and it was kind of it was like a wide shot of all the kind of the teenagers and adolescents riding their bikes and run on that road, and it was like kind of evening, and they had flashlights. I thought that was a really beautifully shot scene. But there are a lot of those moments that are just, they look really visually nice on film. As you know, yeah. I could go on and on about this movie. I mean, I really can. So I'll try to reel it in. Go ahead. That's
why I said everyone prepare for. We don't know how long this episode will take.
It was good. It was a great.
It
movie.
Really was. It really. I'm super satisfied with that movie, and
super.
Like, yeah.
Ruben, you've seen it, yeah.
Ruben, is it a thumbs up for you?
I mean, you don't have to agree that it's like the best movie ever, but do you think it's like do you think it's one of the better films that has been released over?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. So even if it's a Ruben thumbs up, you know.
If Ruben's into it, then you know it's good.
You know it. You know there's some quality to it.
I want to rewatch it now.
Yeah. Put that on the list, Donnie.
Okay, I got it. I just added it. Adding it to the list now.
So yeah, no, this is definitely one that it's highly recommended. We referenced it a lot. Okay, not a lot, but we referenced it.
I feel like we do though. I feel like I've brought it up. Like, oh, I don't mean to bring up Gone Girl, but let me bring up Gone Girl.
Yeah, we have brought it up in a few episodes. So if you're a listener, you probably be like, They have, and I can't confirm. I can't actually. I remember they did, but yes.
So we've said only amazing things about it. Is there something? I mean, we got to at least throw on one thing I don't want to say that we don't like about it, but something maybe they could have changed or did differently in our opinion.
I mean, Neil Patrick Harris's character to me was like the one that was just like
A little flat.
Yeah, I mean, like I get his purpose was to be the ex-boyfriend and stuff, but to me it seemed like he was obsessed, but not obsessed. I feel like the movie didn't do a good enough job for us to show that he actually cares about Amy. It just seemed like he was told like, "Oh, you care about Amy." That's I don't know. I just didn't like. It wasn't even his performance. It was just the way the character was brought into this movie, and it just I don't know. I feel like that was the weakest point. Like the time when he was spending with Amy, none of it felt like he was loving her. A lot of it just felt like he was like, "Oh, I don't know." It's
like I have this, like kind of
like I'm being told that I should welcome you and give you a good time at the house that I live in and make sure you're safe, rather than like I genuinely care about you. There were some times that it was close when like he was hesitant to go to work and she was like, no, go, I'll be fine, or things like that. Like there were some things that showed that he did care, but not enough for us to believe that he would go out of his way. And then again, he felt that he was protecting her, right? Because that was she came to him and said Nick was mistreating me or something like that.
Exactly.
But yeah.
I would say the one thing that it doesn't disappoint me or anything, but I wish had maybe been handled a little differently was in the beginning.
The parents, sorry.
No, I really liked her parents too, and just the mother especially. I just feel like, man, every actor in this film did such. I mean, Neil Patrick Harris is like on the fence for you a little bit, but
a little bit. It was not the performance; it was just like the character.
Yeah. But I feel like every actor just brought their A game. Like even down to the guy that was convicted of raping Amy when Nick met up with him to get some information. Like, remember that guy with the glasses?
Oh, yes.
Even that guy, like,
and he was like, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah, like everyone was just like, it was just everyone felt really authentic. What I was gonna say was in the beginning of the film, you have Amy, and you see her, you see them fall in love, blah blah blah, and you see that she really does love Nick, and she's trying to give her all to this marriage, and then it seems like towards the end of the film, when we see her, she's obviously a little more deranged, and she's
she's playing the game.
She's playing a game, and she seems just more calloused as a person. Like when Nick is like, Amy, I did love you, but like we can't do this. Like, why are you doing this? Blah blah blah. And she's just like, you think you'll be happy with a nice Midwestern girl? I don't think so. And he like slams her against the wall, and she's even like, kind of like that's all you got, kind of attitude, Whereas like before in the beginning, like when he pushed her, she was like all, torn up about it and crying and like scared is what it's, what it seemed like. So I just feel like there was not a total jump to like a whole new Amy, but it seemed like,
I see what you're saying.
It seemed like the progression of her character went from like she did have a heart to towards the end she didn't have a heart, is what it kind of comes off across as. Yeah. So and I'm sure the book maybe delves into that a little more and explains it more.
Maybe the book also explains Neil Patrick's character.
Yeah. That's the only thing though. Like, man, I feel like the book probably suffices that. I don't know. I just feel like, to me, it still would have worked if he was just someone that was like, oh yeah, I did date her. It was good, like, but I don't know if because they kind of went with more of like, I'm still in love with her, and I don't feel like I believe that part of it. But right. Her, like his character's, like, oh, I'm coming to help her out, and like how that twisted into like that's my scapegoat, all that was fine. Right. But yeah, no, that's an interesting point. Yeah, because at that point, she did kind of have like I really don't care about you now. Now I'm just playing this game. But it still has that moment you talked about. It still has that great line of "I killed for you. Who else can say that?" And you know what? And I think about that, and that's true. I mean, and that wasn't her intention, because that wasn't in her original plan. But that's what ended up happening, And she's not wrong. I mean, she's got a point. Like, I've killed for you. Who else can say that? So then it's like, dang, Amy, you're not wrong. Like, you're crazy as hell, but you're not. You did kill for me, so it's it's like such a just crazy situation to be in, and poor Nick is just all he can do is go along with it. at this point, it's not what Nick wants. It's Amy's got the ball in her court, and she,
And now she has to do the whole pregnancy. See, I just want to confirm, she was not pregnant, right? At the end, she was just like, that's going to be the next thing we have to do.
I think that, right? I think that's what it was. I think she wasn't pregnant, but she's basically like, because she forced them to announce it. She had the stick. Or did she?
Well, yeah, she did, because he was like, I'll never, do that with you. And she was just like, oh, but I have it, blah, blah, blah.
So I guess... So maybe she did impregnate herself.
But I don't know if she was officially... I don't know if she was listed. Oh, yeah, because then she says, oh, there's a gift for you.
Yeah, so it was a
he
pregnancy
was like,
stick.
I never
Right,
did.
so I guess she had already did it then. So yeah, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy Amy. Amazing Amy, but crazy Amy.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's obvious on our score here, but let's just make it official for this movie, because it's not one that we're, like, unsure about, but what do you give this movie?
5 out of 5 real scores.
Yes, 5 out of 5, same.
Yep.
Just want to get that out of the way. Yeah. Just wanted to officially give it that stamp.
Now that that's done.
But yes, I mean, I think we covered this pretty well.
Yeah.
If you have not seen Gone Girl,
You have to see it, guys.
this is one you have to see.
If there is a movie that we are telling you to go see, you have to go see Gone Girl. Unless for some reason, like dramas and those mystery kind of stories,
or you only like animation, or you only like
or you lived through this so you don't want to see it in a film form, then maybe this is not the film for you. But that's the chances of our listeners going through this. No, so you have to go see it. It's just amazing. It's that good of a film. We are telling you, it's good of a film.
It's the movie that's worth it, not like the based on a book or anything like that. It's just the movie itself was really well made and.
Just really well done. We need more of them. We need
right.
More of
Imagine
them
if all the movies came out like
man.
Life would be too good.
Too good.
But yeah, so let us know, listeners, what you think. You can find us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Team Reel-ists. That's Team REELISTS. And you can also find us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts if you want to rate us, or if you want to comment with us, you can do that on YouTube as well. But yes, definitely know what you think about this movie if you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back to us and tell us if you agree with us or if you disagree with us. We really want to know your thoughts on this one. This is one that me and Donnie could probably continue on going, but I think we got
the main stuff out. We can go on.
We're gonna go actually probably watch this.
Yeah, probably
this week or this weekend.
For sure.
But yes, thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it.
See you next time.